Asterisk, the studio lights were bright. The audience was cheering. Stephen Colbert smiled as Jennifer Lawrence walked onto the stage. She waved, gave a quick hug, and sat down on the famous blue couch. Everything looked normal. But something felt off. Jennifer's smile wasn't the same. It looked polite but tired. Her eyes moved quickly, watching everything. Her fingers tapped on her lap, slow at first. Then faster. Steven started the interview with jokes. "So, Jennifer," he said, grinning, "you've been quiet lately. What's the catch? It's a secret movie, a surprise wedding, or just hiding from?" Twitter, the audience laughed. Jennifer gave a small smile. "No surprises," she said. "Just thinking a lot." Stephen nodded. "Fair enough. Thinking is dangerous these days." More laughter. But Jennifer didn't laugh this time. He moved on. "He asked about her new movie," she answered. Showed an old video of her tripping at the Oscars. The crowd cheered and clapped. She smiled again, but it didn't reach her eyes. Then Stephen changed his tone. "You've been a little political lately," he said casually. "Tweets, interviews, the Geneva trip. You've been stirring things up." Jennifer froze for half a second. She tilted her head. "I've just been speaking my mind." Stephen chuckled. "That's good. Free speech and all. But do you worry that you're turning into Hollywood's activist queen?" A few people in the audience laughed nervously. Jennifer sat up straighter. "I don't think caring about the world makes me a queen. It makes me human." The laughter died. A quiet tension filled the room. Stephen lifted his hands. "Hey, I admire it, really. But don't you worry, you might be losing fans who don't agree with your views." Jennifer's face changed. She wasn't smiling anymore. "Do I worry about people who want me to shut up and act?" she asked sharply. "No, Stephen, I don't." You could hear a pin drop. Someone in the back coughed. "I didn't become an actress to be someone's puppet," she continued. "I became one because I believe in stories. But real life isn't a script. Real people are dying while we joke about ratings." Stephen tried to recover. "I totally agree with you," he said quickly. "I just mean maybe there's a time and place for that kind of discussion." Jennifer leaned forward, eyes steady. "And maybe treating someone's voice as a problem just because it's inconvenient is exactly what's wrong with this industry." A few people clapped. Others looked unsure. Stephen opened his mouth to speak, but Jennifer was already standing. She didn't storm out. She moved slowly, calmly. She straightened her jacket, removed her mic, and looked right at him. "Some people think silence is peace," she said. "But silence is protection for the powerful." Then she walked off stage. The camera didn't cut, the crew wasn't ready. The audience was frozen in place, unsure if it was real or part of a bit. But it wasn't a bit. Jennifer Lawrence had just walked out live on air. Stephen blinked. He looked at the audience, then the camera. "Well," he said awkwardly, "that was unexpected." The show ended early. The internet exploded. Clips of the moment went viral within minutes. Headlines rushed in. Jennifer Lawrence storms off Colbert shall leave. Colbert and Lawrence clash on politics. Did he go too far? Actress speaks out, then walks out. People argued online. Some supported her, some mocked her. But no one knew the full truth. What had really triggered her reaction? Was it just about politics, or was something deeper going on? Behind the scenes, producers were silent. Her team gave no statement. And Jennifer, she disappeared from the public eye. No Instagram posts, no tweets, no interviews. But something was happening. One reporter, a quiet investigative journalist named Rowan Blake, watched the footage again and again. He noticed things others didn't. The small earpiece in Colbert's ear lighting up seconds before he asked the political question. The moment Jennifer's smile dropped when her eyes darted toward the producer's booth. Something wasn't right. He didn't know it yet. But this interview was just the beginning, because Jennifer hadn't just walked out of a talk show. She had walked into a storm, a global one, and the world had no idea what was coming next. Asterisk 2. Weeks before the Colbert interview, Jennifer Lawrence had taken a private flight to Switzerland. No press, no red carpet, no fans waiting at the airport. Just a silent arrival at a government terminal in Geneva where she used her legal name. Not her Hollywood identity. She was there for one reason: a private roundtable hosted by the United Nations, inside a glass-walled conference room. Protected. By international guards were 15 people, not celebrities, not politicians. Okay? These were human rights workers, former intelligence officers, tech whistleblowers, and digital security experts. Okay? They had flown in from different parts of the world, many under fake names. Some looked over their shoulders more than they looked ahead. Jennifer wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't a diplomat or a journalist, but she had seen things, heard things through people she trusted in Hollywood and beyond. Things about data manipulation, surveillance, propaganda programs disguised as social media moderation. A former NCIA contractor who now lived in exile greeted her quietly. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Not many from your world ever do." Jennifer nodded. "That's why I'm here, because they think we won't." The meeting began. Documents were passed, secure USBs were exchanged. Stories of secret projects were shared projects with code names like Silent Glass, Eagle Wing, and Echo Rail. Some of them targeted activists, some targeted journalists. A few, they claimed, were now targeting celebrities, those with influence, those who didn't play by the rules. Jennifer sat silently for most of the meeting, but her hands stayed clenched on her lap. Her face was still, her eyes focused. Then, near the end, a small brown envelope was placed in front of her. It was unmarked. One of the whistleblowers, a South African tech expert, lit it across the table. "You're already on their list," he said quietly. "This is proof." Jennifer opened the envelope. Inside was a printed report, 30 pages. She didn't understand all the technical parts, but some words were clear. Target, J. Lawrence, influence profile, active class. Red. System override authorized content suppression begins Q3 strategic provocation recommended. Media-friendly environment. She looked up. "What does provocation mean?" The man answered carefully. "It means they want you to react on camera, so they can paint you as unstable. Then control your reach." Jennifer's breath caught. "You're saying someone will try to set me off publicly?" He nodded. "Very likely. Through someone. A friendly setting, something familiar, but controlled." She didn't say anything after that. But the look in her eyes had changed. When the meeting ended, she stayed behind. She didn't take pictures. She didn't give quotes. But she did take the envelope on her way out. One of the women, an Iranian journalist living in exile, grabbed her hand. "Be careful," she whispered. "You are no longer just an actress. You're a threat." Jennifer returned to the U.S. quietly. She went back to work. Publicly, nothing had changed. She smiled at events. She attended a charity gala. She gave one short interview to a magazine talking about her film and her love of cooking. But inside, everything had changed. Then, 2 days before her scheduled appearance on The Late Show, her assistant received an odd call from the show's producer. They wanted to shift the talking points. Less film talk, more engaging personal moments. The phrasing was unusual, too formal, too rehearsed. Jennifer noticed. She called a friend in media, someone who had once worked in late-night television. "Can they be told what to ask?" she asked. The friend hesitated, then said, "Let's just say, some people in powerful places write scripts behind the scripts." Jennifer stared out the window, thinking. She didn't cancel the interview. She planned for it, but she didn't plan for how it would feel. The lights, the noise, the smiling crowd, it all felt fake now. And when Colbert brought up the word activist queen, she knew it was the trigger. The phrase had appeared in the report, word for word. That's when she knew. She wasn't paranoid. She was being played, and they expected her to either stay silent or explode in a way they could edit instead. She walked out, but walking out wasn't weakness. It was a move, a signal, and somewhere hidden in a safe location, Jennifer had already started working on the next step. Because she wasn't going to be their puppet. Not anymore. Rowan Blake wasn't famous. He wasn't invited to red carpets or talk shows, but people in media knew his name quietly. He was the journalist who didn't blink. He didn't chase gossip. He chased patterns, silence, and digital trails. He had watched the Jennifer Lawrence interview 3 times already. Now it was 3:17 a.m., and he played it again, slowly, frame by frame. Something bothered him. The audience thought it was a celebrity meltdown, a political disagreement. It's just another talk show moment gone wrong. But Rowan saw something else. 2 seconds before, Stephen Colbert asked Jennifer the question about her activism. Rowan noticed a flicker in Colbert's earpiece. It lit up just for a second. A cue, a prompt. It's probably from the control room. That wasn't unusual. But the timing was. He rewound again. The flash happened right before Colbert changed his tone. Rowan paused the frame, took a screenshot, then opened another video. An old interview with another celebrity. Same producer, same network. Different guest, same setup. And again 2 seconds before a sharp question there, it was the flicker. Who's feeding these moments? He whispered to himself. He didn't have proof yet, but something was wrong. Rowan opened his encrypted notebook. He typed one name, Lawrence J. Silent Glass. He had heard the term silent glass before. It was a code name buried deep in a leak from a former intelligence agent. The file had been vague but suggested a secret collaboration between private media groups, intelligence contractors, and data firms. The idea was to shape public mood using entertainment. Target influencers. Troll descent. Quietly. Rowan had dismissed it at the time. It sounded too big, too dark. Now he wasn't so sure. He picked up his phone and dialed to contact someone who used to work on Colbert's show, a former assistant director. The call rang twice. Then a sleepy voice answered. Rowan. Why are you calling at this hour? I need to ask you something. That Jennifer Lawrence interview was the question about activism planned. The person went quiet, then said, I don't know. Rowan's voice sharpened. You do. I know you do. Did it come from the host or above him? A long pause. Then, very quietly, we were told to create an emotional trigger moment. That's the phrase. Direct quote. Something to light up the algorithm. Jennifer's name was on the list that week. That's all I can say. Rowan's heart pounded. So it was planned. But why? He went back to his computer. He searched leaked government databases, court filings, hacked emails, anything with Jennifer's name and silent glass. After 2 hours, he found something. An internal memo from a private defense contractor. Redacted but leaked during a corporate whistleblower case. Assets flagged for strategic disruption. L******. Jennifer H. Megan R. Colin influence score. HIGH media echo rating 87% recommend. Tier 2 provocation. Soft reframe. Jennifer was listed. She wasn't a celebrity anymore. She was a target. Rowan knew he had to go deeper. He called Jennifer's publicist. To his surprise, she picked up. He introduced himself and asked for comment. There was silence. Then she said something strange. She expected this. But she didn't expect it that night. That's what shook her. Rowan leaned forward, so she knew they would come after her. The publicist sighed. She knew after Geneva. She knew when someone left a file in her hotel room without knocking. She knew when her assistant's phone started glitching. She knew when certain offers vanished without explanation. But she didn't know they'd use him. Him? You mean Colbert? No, she said. The network. The system. The smiling face hiding the message. Is she safe? Rowan asked. I hope so. Click. The line went dead. Rowan stared. At his screen, everything felt connected now. The government, the show, the silence after the storm. He started typing, not a blog post, not a tweet, a full investigation, because this wasn't about Jennifer anymore. It was about the machine behind the cameras, and it had just blinked. Asterisk Rowan Blake worked without sleep. His desk was full of printouts. Cute. Open laptops, coffee mugs, and a red notebook where he circled names in ink. Jennifer Lawrence, Meghan Markle, Colbert's producer. The defense contractor's logo. And in the center of it all, 2 words written in bold black pen silent glass. No one in the mainstream media had mentioned it. Not even once. But Rowan had found 3 different leaked documents buried in separate data dumps over the last 2 years that referred to Project Silent Glass. The code language was always the same. Tier 1 disruption, media friendly. Personality signal management via provoked reaction, public trust channels to be used as dispersal medium. In simple terms, it meant this. Powerful people were using TV shows and celebrity interviews to control the public's feelings. And when someone with too much influence like Jennifer stepped out of line, the system didn't silence them immediately. It provoked them. It made them break on camera, so people would stop listening. The phrase from the leaked file kept echoing in Rowan's head. Make them emotional. Make them loud. Then make them irrelevant. Jennifer wasn't crazy. She had seen the trap. And now she was caught in it. Rowan needed more. He reached out to a hacker friend, someone who called himself Trace. An XNS, a digital ghost who now lived off-grid in Mexico. Rowan sent him everything he had. An hour later, Trace called back, voice sharp and serious. "Bro," he said, "you just touched a live wire. What did you find?" Rowan asked. Trace sighed. The silent glass documents weren't just test files. They're active, real contracts, real signatures. I traced one document back to a secure server hosted by Peregrine Media Defense Group, a private intelligence company with direct ties to multiple news networks and 2 major tech platforms. Rowan's blood ran cold. He had heard of Peregrine. They weren't a conspiracy theory. They were real. It's a contractor that didn't officially exist on paper, but provided strategic public influence solutions to government clients. No one ever proved what they actually did. Now he had the proof. And Jennifer. Rowan asked. She's listed as a Tier 2 amplifier with high volatility potential, Trey said. Translation: they thought she could move people emotionally, and that made her dangerous. Were they monitoring her before Geneva? Long before I found her name mentioned in internal chatter after she gave a speech on domestic policy 3 years ago. That's when she got flagged. Geneva just pushed her to the top. Rowan sat back, stunned. And it gets worse, Trace continued. One of the production companies that films The Late Show has a silent investment deal with Peregrine. Means the people who planned her fall also controlled the cameras. Rowan couldn't breathe. They didn't just set Jennifer up. They recorded it, packaged it, monetized it, all under the label of entertainment. He wrote for hours. He titled his report, "The Puppet Stage: How Project Silent Glass Turned Television into a Weapon." In the report, he included everything: leaked files, network connections, screenshots of documents, Colbert's timing, and audio from insiders. It was too much to ignore. But before he could publish, Rowan got a text: "Unknown number. You're being watched. Don't release it yet." "She's not ready." His hands froze on the keyboard. Another message followed. "Unknown number. If you push now, she'll be labeled unstable. They'll win." He stared at the messages. Jennifer. She wasn't done. She was planning something. Rowan sat still for a long time. Then he did something strange for a journalist. He closed the file, he locked it in a drive, and he waited. Because something bigger than an article was coming. And Jennifer Lawrence wasn't running anymore. She was preparing to strike. For almost 2 weeks, Jennifer Lawrence vanished from the public eye. No photos, no sightings. Tabloids guessed she was in rehab. Others claimed she had snapped a K, but none of them were close to the truth. In reality, Jennifer was in hiding with help. The Iranian journalist she had met in Geneva, Layla Amini, had reached out after seeing the Colbert clip go viral. Layla had also been flagged by Project Silent Glass after exposing a covert operation between media outlets and the military in the Middle East. She knew what Jennifer was facing, and she knew where to hide. Layla took Jennifer to a secure safe house in Berlin. Not a bunker, but a quiet, windowless apartment inside an old bookstore. Surveillance was blocked, signals scrambled. Only trusted voices could reach them. Jennifer wasn't broken, she was furious. "I didn't walk out because I was afraid," she told Layla. "I walked out because I realized how far they were willing to go. And now they're going to find out how far I'm willing to go too." Layla placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we must do it right, or they'll destroy you." Together, they began working on something dangerous, a live broadcast, using satellite servers, uncensored networks, and a list of allies who still believed in real journalism. Meanwhile, the rest of the world was beginning to wake up. Rowan Blake's story hadn't been published, but whispers of it were spreading across. Underground news sites, forums lit up with questions about Project Silent Glass. Digital watchdogs demanded answers. 2 cybersecurity firms issued reports confirming unusual influence activity on media platforms around the time of Jennifer's interview. And then someone went missing, a Russian investigative journalist who had also attended the Geneva roundtable vanished from his apartment in Prague. No signs of struggle, no phone records, just gone. 3 days later, his encrypted drive was sent anonymously to Rowan Blake's apartment. Inside was video evidence, recordings, emails, contracts, proof that American, European, and private tech companies were using media stars as influence filters, guiding what topics were safe, what voices were suppressed, and how people were emotionally steered. Jennifer's name was in almost every file. So was Colbert's show. So was per IGEN. Rowan finally understood the full scope. It wasn't just about Jennifer. This was a global experiment in emotional engineering, and she was the first high-profile name to fight back in public. Rowan contacted Jennifer's publicist again. This time, she gave him a direct message: she's going live soon. And when she does, don't just publish, amplify. Governments began reacting. The UN released a cold but clear statement, calling for an urgent review of media influence and surveillance operations. European Parliament started an inquiry. A senator in France demanded an investigation into digital manipulation involving U.S. platforms back in the U.S. White House press secretary was asked about the Jennifer Lawrence clip. She replied stiffly, "We are aware of online theories. Ms. Lawrence has the right to express herself." The government does not comment on individual entertainers, but insiders were worried. A celebrity was turning into a symbol, and symbols were hard to kill, especially when they had nothing to lose. In Berlin, Jennifer and Layla completed the final piece of the plan. They had the drive, the documents, the support of underground journalists, tech experts, whistleblowers, and even a few retired intelligence officers tired of being silent. The next step wasn't just a leak. It was a worldwide message, one that couldn't be twisted, edited, or shut down. Jennifer looked into the camera. "No scripts," she said. "No hosts. No interruptions." Layla gave her a nod. The countdown had begun. The world thought she had walked out for drama. But Jennifer was about to walk back in. And this time, she would not be alone. It was 7 p.m. in Berlin. Cold and gray outside. Quiet inside the bookstore. Apartment. Jennifer Lawrence sat at a wooden table, her face calm, her hands steady. A single camera pointed at her. No makeup, no lights, no script, just her. Layla checked the satellite feed again. The secure stream was connected. A group of ethical hackers and independent media partners had built the system in 3 countries. It couldn't be blocked, couldn't be edited. Once it started, it would reach millions within minutes. Jennifer looked at the lens and whispered, "Let's begin." Layla hit the red button dot in New York. Phones buzzed. In London, people paused at their desks. In Nairobi, Seoul, Gray and Rio notifications lit up all at once. Live emergency broadcast, Jennifer Lawrence speaks out. It wasn't a trailer. It wasn't a PR stunt. It was a bombshell. Jennifer took a breath and began. "My name is Jennifer Lawrence. I'm not here as an actress. I'm here as a human being who saw too much and stayed silent for too long." She leaned forward, eyes direct. "You saw me walk off a late-night show. You saw the headlines. Emotional, unstable, dramatic. What you didn't see, what they didn't want you to see, was the trap behind that moment." She held up a document, stamped real. "This is a page from Project Silent. Glass and Active, global system run by private intelligence groups and protected by media companies. I was flagged, watched, manipulated, then provoked on live television. So my voice would seem dangerous, ridiculous, or easy to ignore." Screen split. Layla displayed proof. Names, emails, contracts, video clips. Not rumors. Not theories. Evidence. Jennifer continued. "They called it Tier 2 disruption. That means they used my fame, my feelings, and my presence to influence you, to make you look away from real issues, to make you doubt people who speak up." Showed another page. "They didn't just target me. They targeted journalists, activists, veterans, survivors, anyone who might shake the system even slightly." More clips rolled of talk show meltdowns, social media bans, viral edits that made serious voices look foolish. Now, it all looked different. Jennifer's voice grew stronger. "I was afraid. At first, I thought I was alone. But then I met people, brave people. People who risked everything to tell the truth. And now I'm done being quiet." Her final words were but powerful. "They tried to reduce me to a moment. Now I'm turning this moment into a mirror. Look closely, 'cause what they did to me, they can do to anyone." She stood up, stepped back, and walked off camera. The feed. Cut. But the world didn single quotes taught within minutes. The broadcast exploded across social media. Clips were reposted. Journalists picked up the files and began digging. In the system, cracked and then shattered. Rowan Blake published his full investigation 5 minutes later. Headline: "The script is broken. Inside the media machine that silenced truth within an hour." The story trended in 17 countries. That night, 3 politicians resigned. A CEO at Peregrine Media Defense Group was placed under investigation. Whistleblowers began speaking out. Stephen Colbert issued a cold statement. "I was following producer instructions. I was not informed of the deeper agenda. I stand with Jennifer Lawrence." But it was too late. The world had changed. Some people still called it a stunt. Others said it was dangerous. But most agreed on one thing. She had told the truth, and nothing was more dangerous than that. The world didn't sleep that night. News channels replayed Jennifer Lawrence's broadcast every hour. Independent journalists broke down every document she showed. Hashtags exploded across platforms. Hashtag Silent Glass Exposed. Hashtag Stand with Jennifer. Hashtag Media Manipulation. Some people cried watching the video. Others got angry. Some called it a revolution. Some called it an attack. In Washington, D.C., powerful people were in panic. Meetings ran all night behind closed doors. Lawyers rushed into offices. Phones rang nonstop at the headquarters of Peregrine Media Defense Group. One U.S. senator whose name appeared in the leaked emails resigned by sunrise. Another went on national TV and claimed the files were fake and part of a smear campaign by foreign actors. But it didn't work because Rowan Blake's investigation was airtight. It showed timelines, money trails, internal documents, a step-by-step playbook of how public emotions were shaped, not with violence, but with entertainment-late-night shows. Viral interviews, edited news clips, social media campaigns designed to break down trust in anyone who spoke too honestly. And Jennifer had become their biggest mistake. She wasn't just a famous face. She was a voice they couldn't mute in Berlin. Jennifer watched the fallout from the bookstore apartment. Layla sat beside her, reading headlines aloud. "You're being called a whistleblower." Layla smiled, "and a traitor. And a genius." Jennifer laughed softly. "Sounds about right." Her phone buzzed. It was Rowan. He had one question. What? Now, Jennifer looked out the window. Across the street, a small group of journalists waited. Not paparazzi, real reporters. Waiting not for gossip, but truth. "I don't know what comes next," she said. "But I know this. They used me to sell silence. Now I'll use myself to spread truth." She paused. "Let's keep going." Rowan understood. The story wasn't over. 1 week later, the U.S. Congress held a public hearing. Jennifer was invited to speak. She walked in without bodyguards, without makeup, without fear. She stood before the committee and read from the same file they tried to bury. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She spoke calmly, like a citizen. "I'm not here to be a star," she said. "I'm here to remind you that people are not programs. You cannot script the truth." Her words echoed across TV screens in homes, classrooms, and cafes around the world. And as she stepped down from the podium, people stood up. Lawmakers, students, staff, even guards. They stood, not for a celebrity, for a woman who had walked off one stage to walk onto the world's stage. In the months that followed, 3 tech executives were arrested. Paragon Media was shut down. Multiple countries began audits of news media contracts. An international task force on digital ethics was created with Jennifer as an advisor. She didn't go back to movies. Instead, she launched a global foundation called Unscripted, dedicated to protecting voices, exposing manipulation, and helping the next generation of truth tellers. Her face no longer sold perfumes or posters. It stood for something else now, something untouchable. And somewhere in a quiet room, a new host was told to ask a celebrity a difficult question. But this time he hesitated, because now the world was watching, and Jennifer had proved one thing, even in a world of noise. Truth still speaks.